Yo, greetings, my people. Greetings, my good people. I greet you in the words of you already know, a BB for Holiday, African Liberation. Back to you on our weekly basis with Brother Rashidi. And we just we titled this one, uh, just free flow with Brother Rashidi. Pretty much like the other night, um, when you
Yeah,
kind of just
BB for
want
ODA.
a BB for Holiday. Yeah, when you want to just kind of unpack your mind and just let's talk about some of the things, some of the madness, some of the goodness, some of the uh any of the above. But yeah, something I kind of want to talk about, like stuff that's been bothering me. And the other night I was speaking about the documentary, the LA '92, and I did the comparison of basically how the scenery was in 1992 during the Watts riot and during the time of Latasha Harlins. And I did that comparison from then until like now, meaning like the state we were in then and the state that we were in now. Meaning like during the protest, some of the chants that were being said.
Mhm.
Fast forward to 2020, we still saying those chants. What do we want? Justice. When do we want? Now. All the above. And some of the things that kind of just just stuck out to me was because right now we hear so many people talk about like police reform, educating the police. And as you look at this stuff through your timetable and through its errors, it never you can't reform it, if that makes sense what I'm saying. There is no reforming these devilish behaviors. This stuff has been going on since the 30s. This stuff has been going on since then because that's the pattern. Um, and that was a heavy documentary. Um, I had watched it once before, maybe about a year or so ago, and I just went back and refreshed up on it. But you know, that's some of the things I kind of want to talk about. Anything that really stick out with you, bro?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely been going on for a long time. I mean, even before they came up with the law and came up with the police force, because the same thing I mean, it's just the same thing. It's just legal now. That's all it is. Just like it was in slavery when they was
Yeah,
hanging us as black people and um, murdering us back then. They murdering us now. They just doing it with a gun, in cold blood, and they made it legal. So they got off with it back then. They getting off with it now. It's just a different time and different methods. We still getting murdered.
yeah. And that's kind of the thing, like we were talking, and and I was saying, sometimes some of our brothers and sisters have adopted the analogy that black folks are racist too. You can't be racist and you can't do this. I
Hmm.
understand what they may be thinking they're alluding to or saying, but as the Honorable Nana Francis Cress Wilson and Barbara Nellie Fuller told us, racism is power. So let me see if I can make this make sense. It's more so not the person per se is racist, the white person. The system that allows them to get away with it is racist. It upholds the racism. The action, racism is a verb, the action behind it. There's never been a time in history where we have just been in mobs of black men, black women, and we just go into white folks' house and take their children and do what they did to Emmett Till. It has never been a case. Like anybody out there, find me something. Find me multiple sources where we did any of these crimes to them. If that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Ain't gonna be able to find it.
We're not going to be able to find it because we don't have that type of power. At best, we could be prejudiced, and not even that because if we're prejudging someone, like a person told me once, to prejudge. So if we were to prejudge them by their behaviors, no matter what point in time in history we look, they still carrying out these crimes. So our prejudgment is right, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes sense because you go by what you see, not by what somebody tell you. It's about what you see. You look at the whole history of what Europeans have done to black people, and they have never given us. All they ever did was took it from us. They took everything from us. Took our language, uh, took our God. They took everything from us when they brought us over here to America, and uh, they just took over. So we basically just been lost and don't understand the damage that was done. You know, done to us as black people, and we got to wake up and tell we got to start doing research and stop believing everything that
Right,
uh
right,
we was just told. We told by our enemies. We got to know the source of where the information comes from. That we allow it to go into our brains.
right,
Because what you hear and what you read and what you pay attention to most of the time is how you gonna think and how you gonna live your life.
right,
Whether it's false information or whether it's true information. If it's what you listen to, what you follow, and the same with music, the same with anything else. That's what type of vibration and the type of person that you gonna walk around with. That's what you gonna
right,
walk around with in your soul.
right,
You keep yourself on a positive and balance on a balanced life and listening to the truth. You're gonna live your life differently. When you listening to lies and you constantly watching the news and believing negative stuff and false information, your life is gonna be on just on bad terms. You're gonna be on a negative vibration.
right,
You're gonna go and find yourself going in the wrong directions.
right. And that's something about, like you just touched on, about believing kind of like the truth. And to me, this is my interpretation. This is just me. To me, the truth, there's a feeling. It's
Hmm.
that, because we're such an intuitive people, and like that word you said, the vibration, we're such a intuitive, instinctual people that sometimes you can feel when somebody's telling the truth.
Hmm.
Versus when somebody's just saying, you can make your mouth say anything, and truth is subjective. But when you can tell the authenticity of something. Um, like a example I'll use, when Malcolm had his split from the Nation of Islam, you
Hmm.
could feel the truth in what he was saying in a lot of his lectures after his split. So a lot of times truth don't need defending. But I think it's when our emotions kind of cloud that. And this is why we can't really cause something, man, something we was watching, and this guy's a fool, man. This guy's a fool. Um and I always call him Uncle Ruckus's daddy. And this guy Jesse Lee Peters. I mean, now we have to really deal with, when we're talking about the mental side of Negro. And what kills me with platforms like his, Tommy Sotomayor, um, Candace Owens, Sheriff David Clark, all of these ones that keep popping up, even you, Mark Lamont Hill, but all of these platforms that keep popping up, and they saying just like the most slave-minded shit. Like, I
Oh
mean, but
yeah.
he take the cake.
Oh yeah. He got. Proud of making getting the Coon
Who, bro?
Award.
Who proud of being a coon? He
He
was
proud
like,
of being a
he
coon.
was bragging. He was like, yo, I beat out Sheriff David Clark. He's saying like saying this shit like it's an accomplishment. He said I beat out Sheriff David Clark for the Coon Award.
Bragging about it.
How
Like how you
insane!
proud of being a coon? That's crazy.
How insane has this guy been driven?
Yeah, he out his mind.
So, you know, a lot of people, and to point out, because he always used the word, he said black folks can't handle the truth. So this is what I mean is truth is subjective, because nothing that idiot says, maybe about point 1, point 2 of something he might say may have a little truth in it. It's like, oh,
every now and
okay,
then.
I can, you know, that's a point. Like something he said, that if we kind of knew, and this ain't how he worded, this is, you know, but he said, if black folks didn't feel like they was inferior, why would we be begging for reparations? I can get that. That's the point one that I can get, because once we understand how mighty we are, once we understand what our DNA is truly made of and how superior genetically, mentally, ain't nothing wrong with our mind. We've been driven crazy, and none more than Jesse Lee Peters. But once we really figure out how we are, we don't need to, because this is just me, bro. I don't subscribe to the whole reparations. Me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you read books like for the people that was following this, and I read 100 Years of Lynching, that's a tough book to read on your mind.
Mm.
But when you read the nature of these creatures, why would I expect them to pay me for that? That's just how I look at things.
Oh yeah.
Why would we expect them to pay us and right that wrong that they don't want to admit that they did?
Yeah, it's like anybody that really does they research and find out the history of what Europeans have done everywhere on this planet. You know, not just to us, but
everywhere.
The horrific uh, murders and just stealing and taking people's land. How they, I'm just gonna say how they robbed Africa. I mean, and it's not like we just get on here and say stuff that we think is true. You know, this is stuff that's based on historical facts. You know, this is information that can be researched and based on historical facts. Like you know, it's the truth. You know that they used they used the writings and teachings out of the pyramids in order to create some of their religious beliefs. We know that they got the Christian cross from the Ankh, you know, and that the Ankh was the first cross, you know, because it's there. It's there in ancient times, the oldest, you know, the pyramids, the oldest pieces on the earth is still standing. You know, we was here in the beginning,
right?
You know, and they teach us that we here in America, black people think that Africa is someplace evil. We think just because we ain't never been there, or because we was born over here, that we not African. That's what you hear a lot of us say. But it's all about what's in your DNA. You know, you can't never change your DNA. Your DNA is African. Well, you can change your DNA. The only way you change your DNA is by having children outside your race.
Right.
Then you not only change your DNA, you weaken your DNA.
Right.
Because your DNA is we black. We meant to stay that way. When you put milk in coffee, what you do, you weaken the strength. It's the same thing with us. You know, so when we have sex with Europeans, this is how it goes. We create a mixed baby. You create a black and white baby. When that black and white baby have sex with another European, you have your DNA is completely changed.
Right.
You know, so that's why it's important for us to keep ourselves in our original form. And while we mixing something that's organic with something that's genetically modified, you know, we changing it. we not supposed to do that, and that's very important.
Right, right, and that's so good that you did that explanation the way you just explained it, bro. Because we get into this and go back to like you said, we like Nana Marimba, I need may say when she talks about the Dogon's words for like thought and the advancement of thought. And she
Hmm.
something that she said was that Europeans think at a level that's called Giriso, Giriso. And that is the most literal level of thought. It's the most basic. It's the most face value. And I'm saying that to say because, like how you mentioned, people will say, "I ain't African. I ain't never been there." I
Hmm.
mean, they be dead ass. They say, "Oh," and a lot of y'all do that. Like the cat that came on, a cat commented on my video the other day, and this is how crazy they are because they have been so Uruguarized and Europeanized in their mind. We got black folks actually telling other black folks go back to Africa.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
So this basic level of thinking where we say, "Oh, I'm not African because I ain't never been to Africa." They don't. Number one, like you said, they
And
don't
then
understand
you got
DNA.
some that say they Hebrew Israelites.
The Hebrew Israelites, they're all of these.
I got
Um,
some on my job who be saying they Hebrew Israelites and Africans, saying Africans sold them out. You like, where are you getting this information?
I mean, and people run with that narrative.
Yeah.
That's real. People take that narrative, and it's dangerous. That's how, to me, that's how a Jesse Lee Peters is created
Hmm.
because it starts with a detachment. And like we said, okay, we are connected. We are one with that landmass. Because let's just say all the civilization is wiped out. Okay, America's still here, quote unquote. America's still here. Africa's still there. Europe is, however, you get where I'm going.
Hmm.
If nobody's here, who tells the story? How do we understand the importance and the significance of these lands? The people make the land, and the land make the people. We're one. So a lot of people say, "Well, I'm not African. I ain't never been to Africa," but Africa is in your DNA, like you pointed out. Africa's in the culture,
Hmm.
to where we don't even understand when they were pouring out libations for our ancestors. And we took it in a Black American form. That's Black American culture. And you say, "I'm gonna pour out the 40 for my homie." You're doing the same thing because your DNA that resonates with your DNA. If it makes sense, what I'm saying. You're doing that because that familiarity of your culture is trying to tap in, but it's just in a bastardized form. So we not really understanding like some of these things we say, and we listening to all the wrong people. And like I said, you know, I watched him when he did the interview with Monique, and I'm gonna say like this when it comes to Miss Monique, I like her character, and she's okay. Some things I don't agree with. I do not agree 100% with everything that, and I'm talking about Monique that was from the Parkers. I don't agree with 100% of what Miss Monique says, but her outlook on life and how people have said the type of person, despite them trying to demonize her and make it seem like she's so difficult to work with. I mean, I listen to stories by people like Rodney Perry who said she, helped him get a job when he was down on his luck and had nowhere.
Hmm.
Gabrielle Sidibe, who said she was so kind to her. So once again, like I said, truth can feel it. And when she stood up against Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey,
Oh yeah.
they looked at her in a certain way. So her character
Hmm.
is okay. Something it's questionable things about everybody's character. And I know she's not African, so I don't look for her to be like this, but she's okay. And she dealt with Jesse Lee Peters like amazing.
Yeah, I gotta see that too. I didn't see that one.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's how people like his mind are created. People listening to him, and then like you said, they said, okay, Africans sold you into slavery.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's just play into that. Let's just say, Okay, well, Africans did play a hand in it. How do we blame them for participating in the crime more than we blame the ones that orchestrated the crime? Now we got to keep in
Yeah.
mind when they did this, like I'm gonna say, like around when these things were first happening, they didn't have a they didn't have a historical awareness of what the white people were capable of.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't hit Google and see that they slaughtered. They were the history in the making. So when they say, when we use the story, when they say, well, they encountered the indigenous that was in America and they slaughtered them, they didn't have a they didn't have a record of that. They didn't understand that because we are friendly, welcoming to people.
Right.
So when people come to us, we're not expecting this person to come in here and kill everybody. We make the mistake that we make today, still trying to give people the benefit of the doubt. We still try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because we say, I'm not like that, so they can't be like that. But they didn't understand, back to what you said, European DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It's in their DNA to be these killers.
Right.
So when we buy into this black soul, blacks into slavery, we compute that in our mind, and that's a dangerous place to get in. That because they did that, they are solely responsible. No. Now everybody must take accountability for their roles, but we have a habit of absolving white folks and feeling this empathy when, okay, past a certain point. When are we going to talk about the brutality that after they were sold, that Europeans subjected them to just because?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what That's what we fail to even acknowledge. You know, and it's like not like it ever stopped.
Never
It's
stop.
been going on for years and years and years. It's been over 400 years. And it's still happening. And we marching and protesting, but we ain't really uh, doing nothing to change our situation. We still don't come together in unity. Especially when it comes to us putting our finances together, because you know I agree. Like, we shouldn't be asking for reparations. From somebody. Expecting them to give us something, they ain't gonna give us nothing.
From these
And we
same
need to
people, bro.
we need to be coming together ourselves and talking about putting businesses together. We need to start coming up with our own small investment groups. Get with those who have a like minded like you, and start putting your resources together, putting your money together, and coming up with business plans. Sitting down, talking about making money. A lot of us, I know, keep it real. A lot of our people in the hood still selling weed
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, selling drugs. We need to change that mentality and start thinking about making money in different ways. Stop poisoning our people, and I ain't gonna say nothing about weed we grow from the earth, So I know we all do that, but we need to start putting our money together and doing other things, investing in properties, investing in any type of business that we can make money off of, whether it's selling, buying cars from the auction and reselling them. There's all kind of ways to make money out here. Buying
Right,
properties.
right. And I want to touch on something that you said about the weed. I get what you're saying. No, that needs to be really understood. That
And that needs to
um,
be controlled by us, if anything. We
exactly,
need.
and because to me, how you look at that is the selling of the earth, like you said, that's from the earth. So
Hmm.
it is the intention. Like sometimes when you willing to rob a brother, when you willing to rob your brother because he's the weed man, and you hurt your brother, the
Yeah.
motive behind it, that's also really has to stop.
Hmm.
Because it's the sensationalizing. See, and that's the thing. Last time we was talking about kind of like how certain things they introduced to our mind, they sensationalized to our people selling drugs. They glorified in songs robbing a dude and killing him. So we started looking at that shit like it was okay the thing to do.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We thought it was okay to call our women bitches and hoes. around talking, you going around saying I jacked that nigga. You know, I run up in his
Right,
house and shoot
right.
his mama.
Back to like
You know,
movies like
I
Minister
kidnapped his
Society.
mama. You
One
know,
one of the most things that stand out to me is when Kane is in the driveway jacking the dude for his rims.
yeah,
He would have killed him if he would have had to. So that's why I said we have to understand. Like sometimes people say black people are to blame for this. We don't understand. Like once something get in your brain and your powerhouse, it controls you. So like you said, just think about if our ambitions were to be owners and do this like we ought to be rappers and basketball players. And because it's like, and that's the thing that we have to also learn too as we collectively build it, because it's not just on us two, it's on us as a collective that we have to create opportunities for them. Because in the glorification, like Rick Ross, okay, so if you sell crack to your people and you can make more money in this one transaction or these one day than you can, people are gonna take the easy route because it's been looked at like it's the thing to do. It's fast. But one thing I had to always point out to people, they don't understand what had to happen for them to be bringing drugs into the hood. They had to exterminate the Panthers because one of the Panthers' job was to keep that out of the community. So you like the biggest contradiction if you in any of these Panther movements. There's 2,000 of them. If you in any of these Panther movements and you pimping on a female, if you hitting on women, if you selling drugs to your people, you are anti what you're supposed to be representing. And this kind of like the lessons that we have to understand because we're not doing it to ourselves, but we won't wake up from the hypnosis that allows us to do it, if that makes sense.
you know, it's it just putting different things together. You know, of how racism has affected Black people in America.
Right, right, right,
When it comes to knowing the facts that drugs was placed into our community, we know who placed them in our community.
right.
They gave us the drugs. It destroyed our communities, destroyed the movement. You know, the Black Panthers had going, or any other Black leader organization. It just, because our people got on crack cocaine, got on drugs, got on heroin, and it was over from that point on. You know, it was like we was destroyed as a people.
What did that do? What did that do? What did the crack epidemic do to the Black family?
I mean, grandmothers. We had families was getting together more back then. Families was more together. Black people was getting money back then. It was still. I remember, and there was Black businesses that was still open. In Detroit, Michigan, Black people was owning bars, owning all kind of stuff. I commend a lot of Black people that do still. There's Black people that still have businesses now, but not like a long time ago. But it can be like that again. You know, and now I think it's coming around to that. Because a lot of people are starting to wake up. A lot of Black people starting to wake up and see that the only way we're really gonna get anything is if we do it for ourselves.
We have to.
And
we have to.
That's where our focus need to be at. We need to stop depending on the government to do anything for us, any president. We're not gonna get anything out of the government. The only way we're gonna get it is to get it for ourselves. We need to start growing our own food. We need to start feeding ourselves and doing everything. We need to start buying land and getting our own people together. We need to start policing our own hoods. And all of this stuff, protecting our own women. We shouldn't have to depend on calling somebody to protect our women. If one of our women getting beat on, we need to handle that ourselves.
Right.
Because we need to protect the queens. We need to protect Black women.
That's not only developing a code, because it go back to that LA 92 documentary that I talked about in the opening of the video. Because like I mentioned the other night, one of the things that other races understand, other sections of people, is how to be on code.
Brother
Mr.
Ken.
Brother. Hold on 1 second, my people. Okay. He'll call back. I'll call him back. But how to be on code.
Mm-hmm.
When those Koreans' business was being threatened, they jumped on code. They were standing on top of their buildings with weapons. They weren't standing out there in the middle of the street with a bullhorn talking about it's a better way of peace. They understood war. They understood what they had to work for was in jeopardy. I'm convinced that they was having a shootout with themselves.
That's our people problem. We don't understand war.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like we've been in a war for a long time and we just ain't been fighting.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't been applying ourselves. And it was mostly, you know, and of course it was mostly systematic. We know that, you know, but when you start
What's
knowing
up,
and
G?
you find out the information, you know, that's when you make those changes
Okay.
and start making them adjustments. You know, don't just get the
Okay,
information
well just hit
and
me when
not
you
do
get up.
nothing with it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, like I was saying, when you learn the truth, you know, you don't just, you know, some of our people just act like it's nothing. You know, just keep on going the same way, going down the same path. You know, you find out the truth, and you know what's happened to you, and you know that nothing's basically gonna change unless you do something. And you know that's when it's time for you to get on your feet and do what you got to do. You know, get with positive people.
Yeah.
Go to positive places.
Yeah, because like you said, we don't understand war. We there's a time and a place for everything. My yacht has balance.
Mm-hmm.
So just like there's a time for peace, there's a time for war. And like I was saying, going back to that, I mean, because it wasn't impressive, but it was just like everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. Nobody standing, wasn't no Korean standing in the street talking about peace and love and pray and I believe I'm a spiritual brother, so I understand the need to talk to your higher source. But if somebody's coming at you with a stick or a shotgun or a bat, you're not gonna. Your first train of mind shouldn't be to drop to your knees and pray and beg for forgiveness. You see how ridiculous that seems? So in actuality, when we are talking about like fighting back, and y'all say, "Well, just let God handle it." Hey, I understand your right to feel like that. I understand your right to because that's what you may have grew up internalizing. But I look at it from a realistic standpoint. We've been waiting on God for a long time. We've been waiting for Him to finally get fed up and come down and stop. At what point will we believe that we are the gods and God is energy, and we must do things ourselves in a godlike fashion? We will call ourselves niggas, bitches, hoes, real niggas, but we can't fathom calling ourselves something like a god, a king. We feel like that title is just too big for us. But nigga is fitting.
And then it's because our people had a fear of God. You know, it was taught with taught with Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Taught they had a fear of God, so our people walk around with fear.
Mm-hmm.
So they fearing God, like you say, gave us a white Jesus. And we associate white Jesus with white people.
Mm-hmm.
So we fear white people.
Mm-hmm.
When we are the ones who are superior. I'm just gonna keep it real. We was the first people on this planet. We was the alphas and the omegas. Our ancestors, they was the most powerful. They was powerful people on this planet. That's why they stole us from Africa. Your melanin is a gift. Your melanin. We black like the universe. When you look into the universe at nighttime, you see blackness. That's us. Everything that's black has power to it.
Right.
Everything is black. Everything, the foods that you eat is black. Black rice, black berries. You know, black beans. You know, those are some of the most powerfulest foods that you can eat. Black soil, most is the most the most richest dirt. You know that you can grow stuff in. You know, and these are facts. You
Yeah.
know, um, it's just a lot. So that's what they still us. They when you hear us about this human trafficking, they taking us for our melanin. You know, they this taking these organs. They ain't doing nothing. But who you think that is doing that? Say it's
Right.
Europeans just doing that.
Right.
They take us and use our organs, just
Right.
like they did in the movie
Get out.
Get Out.
Yeah.
You know, they was taking black people organs. You know, that wasn't just a movie. That was, that's what they do in real life. You know, we hear all these Amber Alerts. We hear about babies coming up missing. You know, so
Right.
we just got to pay attention and start thinking more deeper than what we thinking. Like,
This surface level that I was talking about. Yeah. That's no, that's something what you're saying, and sometimes I just, take in, what somebody say, but just really understanding, that, like I said, the connection to the land.
mm-hmm.
They understand, like, pretty much like everybody else. That's why so-called Prince Harry and Meghan Malarkey, they travel to Africa. Notice how others travel to Africa and they not coming back saying how, this, that. Matter of fact, we ain't even listening, but I'm saying it to say that everybody understands the jewel that continent is except us.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understands the jewels that our skin color is except us. Like the analogy, like the example you gave, they jack us for our melanin because they understand the power of it. And we got some people that are actually mental solid enough to bleach their skin. They say, I don't want to be white. What's the rap chick name? I think she raps. Black China. When her mother, that is how, go back to Jesse Lee Peters, that is how a nation of ratchets, that's how a nation of house niggas, that's how generation of those keep growing, because her mother, when she was speaking on black skin, she said, some of y'all need to wash the dirt off. Y'all wash that old dirt. And she's talking about skin.
Mm-hmm.
So you see your skin color. You see your people's skin color. That's why it's so dangerous. And people are not comprehending because they're looking at Tariq Nasheed, the person they're looking at. They can't distinguish hidden colors from his character. So when he has these people on his platform and he's talking about their skin, or he's talking about their nappy hair, that's a form of self-hate. We don't understand because we want to cape for these people because we like the movies they give. We like the lectures Umar give. We like, but we not understanding that we need healing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We need healing, especially as black brothers. And we had an excellent event the other night that centered around that. But we are still letting confused, broken people teach us. And that's not saying nothing wrong because I still have levels of this and that. But what I'm saying is the character, how you view your people. That's what I mean when I'm saying broke, because we all, hey man, we here in America. If you're not recovering or haven't recovered from something's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
We always are recovering people because these devils are always on the attack. We're always on the defense. When have we just, for long periods of time, been on the attack for them or with them or had them on the ropes? You see what I'm saying?
Never.
And so
Never
that's the importance of understanding, because I can just imagine, and I keep coming back to these coons, these house niggas. Imagine Jesse Lee Peters teaching a bunch of 3-year-olds until they are 20. How you think they're gonna see the world and their own people?
Oh, they gonna be crazy. They're gonna be just as crazy as he is.
They're gonna, if not worse.
Or even worse.
Because they are younger. So yeah. this is the thing, like how you was pointing out that we got to learn. We got to start to study. It don't have to be long and hard and drawn out, but we have to commit ourselves to learning something. When people always say, "Well, I don't want my children learning all of that." When I was educating people, and you'll hear some parents say, "I don't want my children learning all of that. I want my children to be well rounded." And what they are saying when they are saying well rounded, I want them to have some European exposure.
You can't be well rounded if you only read one book. You taking all your knowledge.
You
You
know,
just reading the Bible and thinking that's the answers to everything.
it's
Then you
not.
can't be well rounded
It's not.
because it's not.
It's not.
It's many other books that was written before the Bible. With more. I mean, it's way. It's information and knowledge is infinite. You can't never stop learning. You can't just limit yourself to the Bible
True.
because it's information that goes years and years, thousands of years before that. That you can still
True.
look up and still find.
Fact.
Historical facts. So you gotta go beyond that. Your mind has to go beyond. You can't limit yourself. We limitless people. We have no limits. We go beyond Africa. We go beyond this planet. We Africans because that's our motherland. That's where we originated from on this planet. But we come from beyond that. You know, and I know that myself. And those that's attuned. They know that too. They know that as well. They know we go beyond this. They know we go beyond the universe. You know,
Right.
we are forever.
Right.
We are
Right.
energy. Energy never dies.
And that's the most important. That's another important part that we had to understand. Energy never dies. The person may die, the flesh may die, but the energy, it may not be as strong as it once was. It may not be as strong, but those memories are. Hell, Tupac music is still banging in some places.
Mhm.
Malcolm's speeches, Khalid Muhammad, Mama Frances Cress Welsing, their speeches, their lectures are still being played. Dr. Bobby E. Wright and so on, their presence, Steve Coakley, their energy lives on. Those are the ones we have to learn from. Stop listening to Tariq Nasheed. He did a damn disco video. We'll let anybody tell us. He did a disco video. Look it up. It was integrated. People voguing and stuff. What kind of consciousness is this? Come on,
Yeah, I
y'all.
can't do Lamar Johnson or
Come,
Tariq Nasheed.
come on.
They be bugging for real.
And what bothers me, bro, is because they get mad at black men like me, and you say I'm hating, and you say I'm always being negative, but we're not understanding the negative effects of not dealing with people like this that misuse funds. This is why we can't get a nation going because we don't trust, because everybody gave to the sharp pastor that knew how to speak good, and
Yeah.
he built nothing. So when you came across genuine brothers and sisters that really was gonna take this money and do what they said, you don't want to give it because you done been burned by the pastor. Actually, and it is our right to ask where this money going. So, for the ones that support Tariq Nasheed hustle, where does that money go? How come that money don't go on food programs for the people? I'm not saying he don't do good things because we have to understand the difference between a good deed and a liberating effort for your people. A liberating attempt for your people. Okay, you might feed some people, but if you are pulling in mass amount of numbers, now think about who he had access to. He had access to Michael J. White on some of his hidden colors, Ice T, Polite. How much money Polite scam from the people? Where is money going? How come? That's why I'm not into asking for reparations because we getting money. They are finding a way to get the money on a black power tip, but they're pimping it. And we don't want to understand good character because we love the nigga shit. We love the nigga shit. We love a person that, you'll bypass my video because it only has 2 or 3 views. It's fine. You got to build yourself up. And I know a lot of times I may not put myself in certain markets yet. But you'll bypass the video of a person like the other night when I asked y'all, how much do you know these people? How much do these people really just get intimate and serious with you? Or is it always a plot to get money out you? Look at how when I say character, when I talk about Iwa Pele, when I talk about Iwa character, look at how he talks to the people. Run me my money. Now, who talk like this? Y'all better run me my money. When did the people's money become your money as if somebody is obligated to give you something? Tariq Nasheed takes your money and do disco videos. And we say that's his right. But people still hungry. Children are still hungry. People are still sleeping in the streets. Y'all follow what I'm saying? But y'all will say that's none of our business. That's why we so separated, because we say that's not our business. And when you look at any other cultures, they make it their business if they are misrepresenting history or misrepresenting the funds. Corruption is everywhere now. But we the only one ignore ours. We the only one, just act like nothing just happened. We say it take time to build a school. Okay, well, what about an after-school program? What about some forms of, how many children have we really heard that he has taught? We hear him say, I'm the number one most requested. Who's still requesting him? We're not talking about these platforms, Nick Cannon, because we understand Nick Cannon is part of the system, is he not?
No, we know he been.
We're not talking about him doing the Breakfast Club because we know Charlemagne is a broke back, is he not? They're a part of, you going on the, when the last time he has been really sitting with the people and not acting like he's David Ruffin? Come on, y'all. We got to get back to being dependable people, serious. Khalid Muhammad didn't act like this. Steve Coakley didn't act like this. Garvey didn't act like this. Y'all can take shots and say he didn't get traction in Jamaica, all that, but he didn't act like this. When he got to America, his movement was for the betterment of people, and y'all are shitting on it, and Tariq Nasheed is helping y'all. That's why I'm spending so much time on it, because we got to understand the damage that we are doing to our culture. We ignore it because we say, well, that ain't that. We are a collective people. So if somebody smack my brother, we got a problem. I ain't gonna say, well, that's your problem.
It's like we getting further and further away from reality and going further into the matrix instead of trying to get out of it.
Instead of getting out of it, we asking for funding to stay on it. We want just a different side. We tired of being in the bottom of the ship, so we want to go to the middle of the ship. We want to vote. We want to go to the local level of the ship. We're still on it. I'm on it. You on it. They're on it.
Yeah, we still on that good ship Jesus, they called it.
I ain't on that ship.
You're right.
We got off that ship. We got off that ship a long time ago. But this ship of terrorism, we still on it. And this is what we gotta understand. How do we relate and connect as a people? And before we close out, like I was asking some questions on my Facebook. Get at my Facebook, Obasi Kente, OBASIKINTE. I was before a quick ago, and I was talking about nation building basics. I said nation building basics that we tend to overlook. Do you know how to effectively talk to people, or are you emotionally led? Do you check up on people without wanting anything? Do you pick up the phone for a comrade or call them back? You never know what could be going on. Can you even recognize when a comrade is going through something? Can you listen and take criticism slash critiquing when you're wrong, or do you know everything and cut people off? Do you show the children or our youth examples of unity and working things out? Most movements do not die because we don't know how to come together. Most die because pride and ego won't allow it to stay together. Think about that. Even for us that's not on the nation building level, something as important as answering the phone. Sometimes you might not be able to get, as y'all saw my phone ring and I wasn't able to get to it in the moment. But being the person that I talk about, I think we constantly check ourselves. That don't mean I'm perfect and my stuff go, but we constantly learn. Something a brother taught me the other night in the meeting, he said we are constantly like evolving. We're constantly in a place of learning and elevating. So we may hit or miss sometimes, but do we really know how to communicate effectively? How you talk to your children? Do you cuss your children out? Do you talk to your children like they 26 years old too and they only 3?
Yeah.
These things matter in the programming of our people, and we don't want to understand this because we want to do everything from a black cultural perspective, black American culture. We have to understand this black America that we keep talking about. Black American culture was taught to us. Black American culture was the guts that was just given over. The guts from the hog that we turned into chitlins.
Like I don't know how y'all get mad when your baby start cursing when y'all listen to music around them or you curse around them, and then when they start cursing, you act like you surprised.
Because they're tape recorders.
Yeah.
So they gonna say anything. If you say "oh shit" every day, chances are your baby first word might be "oh shit."
Yep, and they gonna keep saying it.
If you showing young boys, fellas, that disrespect, not listening to a female, not listening to your lady, um, putting your hands on them, talking about you gonna slap them upside the head, how you think that young boy that you are affecting gonna pick up how to deal with women?
Mm-hmm.
We gotta think about things. Stop being so emotional about everything. You know. But
Yeah, definitely.
it's just certain things that we have to time out for. We got to time out for it.
Yeah, we can't be disrespecting our women, especially and especially not on any circumstance, but when there's kids in the house, it's even worse because they see that growing up, and they remember it. They never forget that. 2, 3, or 4 years old. Even at that age, they still remember.
They still
It's
remember
still in
that.
their head. When they see it with their eyes and it's in their brain. The brain is a memory. It don't do nothing but keep memory. So as they growing older, it's there. It's always there. So that's why it's important to be careful what you allow your children to see, allow them to hear, allow them to watch on TV. Even with some of these cartoons, like of course we know Disney known for putting a lot of sexual stuff in their cartoons. We shouldn't be letting our children watch that. They got a lot of subliminal stuff in there, a lot of signs and symbols. So we need to stop our children from watching Disney movies or any of these cartoons on any of these networks where they be showing just naked cartoons of crazy stuff. Because they are. You know, um, we got to be mindful of that because our children see that stuff and it gets in their subconscious. And as they get older, they even showing gay stuff on cartoons. You can't let your children be watching that stuff for these get everything on TV, even every movie. It's like most of the stuff that come out now got homosexual stuff in it, lesbian stuff in it. Can't be watching that. We shouldn't even allow that stuff to be played in our homes. We shouldn't. Our children shouldn't be watching it. It's you gotta set standards for yourself and you know you can. It's reasons you do that. You know, and the main reasons is because you protecting yourself, you protecting your family, you protect your children, you protecting your spirit, you protecting the energy in your home. You know, you have to be mindful of how you do that. It's certain energy you don't allow into your home. You know, watching
Right.
all
Right.
that crazy stuff on TV, listening to all that crazy
Right.
music.
Right.
You know that you know you just allowing that into your environment. You know, and your uh, you draw crazy when you stood then when stuff happen. You wonder why it happened. It's because you drawing that to you by what you listen to and what you feed into. You know, feed yourself positive stuff. Listen to positive stuff. Talk to positive people. Say positive things about yourself. Say positive things about your home, about your children. Speak positive. You know, do
Yeah.
something positive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta, you just gotta have a good vibration. And just
Man, that's so vital right there, bro.
yeah,
Because it's like something you do storytelling with your children and allow them to, don't restrict their imagination unless they're saying something. Uh, like you just used the example you just used, homosexuality being on Disney Channel. So if they say something that has a homosexual connotation to it, correct them on that. But for the
hmm
most part, let those children mind flow free because nothing is more beautiful than a child's imagination.
hmm
Before we limit it, before we tell them what they can't do, what they can't think, what they can't. And I'm not saying we got to understand balance and allow your children to speak about themselves in a powerful, positive light. Let them call themselves kings and queens, and let them put them in scenarios where they're fighting evil monsters, or let them be children, but teach them who they are. Let them be brave. Like you said, bro, stop
hmm
letting the future, them memorize future. They'll memorize this genocide.
they got them at home singing Meg the Stallion. You know, that's a no. You know, right there. That's something we definitely shouldn't be doing.
So yeah, just learning. Yeah, we shouldn't be letting them teach. Rap this stuff. Um, Never be afraid to tell them to marry their own, because when George Lopez, I don't mess with George Lopez either. We need to really like look into some of these people that we think people are just good.
You talking about the comedian?
Mm-hmm. When he
What he
said,
was said?
this was some time back, and Sucker Man DL Hughley, who another one that I don't like him or dislike him. He just there. But because sometimes
hmm
DL Hughley can say some stuff and it's like, okay, that makes sense. But once again, he's a Hollywood person. He's no different than Miss Monique.
hmm
Um, but George Lopez says on a comedy show, he says two things you don't do at a Mexican home: park in front of our driveway and bring a black person home. And there was a black woman in the audience that took exception to it. She didn't like it. And George Lopez began to degrade her, tell her to get up out of the show. Look into this.
Wow, for
So,
real?
so DL Hughley capes for George Lopez. Look into this. He says if DL Hughley words was something to the nature of, if you don't like the comedy when you come to a place, see, hey, we got to stop that. I came to the boxing match, but I ain't come for you to punch me.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do. Truth is funny, and I never liked DL Hughley. He sees that fine, but funny. People that was funny to me was Bernie Man, Richard Pryor,
Yeah.
Cat Williams. They may rank on somebody or joke on somebody, but they don't disrespect people in the audience.
Yeah.
I don't have to come and be a part of your disrespect. So everybody can tell their children, and we can say that's their culture. You got to respect them. This is how they train us to think. Everybody else, the Arabs can tell their children to only marry Arabs. It
Yeah.
can be customary and traditional. The Koreans, Chinese, Asians. Puerto
Oh yeah.
Ricans, they can all tell theirs to marry theirs or put it in there. But the moment we say only marry black, we're labeled as hateful.
See, they still live by their own traditions. They still do their own traditions, and they still have their own celebrations. They they still and they still have their own language. We the only people that don't have that. We speak another language that don't belong to us. You know, we don't believe in we don't have our own cultures. We celebrate European holidays.
Facts.
We don't celebrate nothing that we created for ourselves. We have stuff that
We
we
have stuff.
we just don't
Right.
know about.
Right. Right. That's
And
real. We have stuff and we won't even celebrate it. We
yeah,
look at it
because
funny.
we have our own black heroes. We should be celebrating. We celebrate European holidays, Veterans Day, and Memorial's Day. That stuff it really represents them. It don't represent us. We gotta we should be. I like to celebrate on days of like Malcolm X Day, stuff like that. We should be celebrating Harriet Tubman's birthday. You
You're
know,
right. We should be celebrating
that's
Khalid
what we should
Muhammad.
be.
We
We
should
should
be
be getting together, having big dinners on days like that. We should be planning events and stuff on them days.
and not charging people.
Yeah, not charging
This is
people.
not another plot to make you some money. It's a day of honoring a Dr. Ishaka Musa Barashungo, who who was very influential in me understanding African manhood. Malala Francis Cress Welsing, uh, Dr. Patricia Newton. We should be celebrating these icons as my brother pointed out. No, okay, we don't woke
Dr.
up.
Sebi.
Okay, we don't woke up to Christopher Columbus. Everybody, okay, that was the agreed download. They let everybody understand that Christopher Columbus was some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but how many of you in the middle? How many of you indigenous Negroes celebrated Thanksgiving? Be real, you know it. How many of y'all participated in Thanksgiving? How many of y'all wish people happy Thanksgiving? Now y'all are indigenous, and this is the day that y'all know your history. There's your history.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? We like to my brother's point. We celebrate everybody's thing, no matter the story behind it, no matter the amount of ridiculousness behind it, no matter the amount of barbarity or savagery behind it. You still celebrate it. Here we are. We wouldn't know how to effectively hurt our enemies if they told us. Meaning, just think if nobody would have participated in Christmas shopping. As a collective, man. As a collective. Nobody participates in Christmas shopping. How much of an effect do you think that would affect your enemy's pockets? Because we know the only thing crackers respect is money and blood. Think about that. So I just
Y'all
want to.
celebrate Christmas, but y'all don't know the true story of Saint Nicholas.
We had to really do. And speaking of Dr. Shakamusa
That y'all
Barashango,
need to
check
look up.
check check him out. Check him out. His African holidays, European genocide. Check out Dr. Shakamusa Barashango. He explained all those holidays to you. Don't be scared to learn. Y'all call people names. Y'all call people, and it's fair game. Everybody do it, but this is the point behind it. Y'all call people names just simply for reading. They're starting to think different.
And yeah, you can't be afraid to learn. And see, that's what one of the biggest things about me is a lot of times when I come over here and visit my brother Obasi, a lot of times it's a learning experience for me. A lot of because uh, I know my brother here. He be on top of it. He's been doing it for a long time. So sometimes I just sit here and listen to him. Because just take any information. You know, because like I said, it's about the positive, about them positive vibrations, and just learning something new. You know, and elevating yourself, because that's the only way you elevate yourself. You can't think that you know everything, because we never know everything, and we never can know enough. You know, the more to learn, the more we learn, you know, the better we get. You know, so and I appreciate my brother for that. You know, and we appreciate each other, and that's how it is. You know, you gotta build those relationships, you know, within your village with positive people. You know, people that you can learn from.
Right.
So you know,
Right. And you know what, man? What makes it so meiotic and balanced? Because I learned from you too. I
hmm
learned a lot. And see,
you try
that's
to
the
teach
thing.
from.
We just really teach each other in, different ways. And
Hmm
like you said, I'm on top of my job in one way, you on top of your job in one way, instead of us, because they
I
what
say.
what they gave us was the ability to compare ourselves against our brothers.
hmm
And we all do it because it's a deep cycle that they embedded in us for generations, generations, generations. This is to me what the fabric of the Willie Lynch is built off of. Comparing yourself, one
hmm
against the other. Aboriginal versus Moor. Sinetta platform is very divisive because we gotta understand when we use that word versus. Like even right now for the music, the verses, what is it? How do we interpret it? Do we interpret it as a togetherness of just listening to some good music, or do we keep a score of who winning? And we say, because and I'm gonna give y'all some examples because y'all post everything. When Brandy and Monica, everybody knew the history behind Brandy and Monica. We looked at that as, oh, if y'all thought Brandy won that, y'all crazy. If y'all thought Monica won that, now if you just asking, it was good music. That's why I appreciate it. Like, and I some of them I looked at. That's why I appreciated DMX and Snoop Dogg. I'm still connected to these things, but I don't promote them as a way because again, I think that's how the church tried to lay it down. You got to be in the world, but not of it, because we are constantly in the madness. So everything I look at it through a learning tool. But a lot of times they compared us against each other. They make you pick one. And sometimes it's just like even in basketball, we shit on each other to uplift the other one. And what I mean by that, like if we say who's better, LeBron or Kobe, and I mean, and I have, and then if we just want to answer for the question, because sometimes you can answer the question from your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's okay for everybody to have an opinion, but when we have a Kobe or LeBron and Jordan, a lot of times we'll tear down and say, well, one didn't do this or the other one didn't do this instead of enjoying their greatness. Now you can say, however, you can say like, however, I think Kobe's better because of his drive, his clutch. That take away from LeBron, or it don't take away from Jordan. It don't take away from your brother to give your brother a compliment. Because notice we never really see white people arguing hard over Joe Montana versus Peyton Manning.
hmm
We got to look at it. I'm going somewhere when I say
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's okay to have the conversation because I would pick Kobe. If you said who won between that, in your opinion, who had the better music, I would say Brandy. But that doesn't mean I have to tear down Monica to say that Brandy's this. They ain't gonna never sit up there and say, who's the better Manning brother, and tear Peyton and Eli up. Who's the better Manning brother? So it's just like it's okay to have a conversation because we all done had them and we all still engage in them. If I see some of my brothers and that's the language I must speak to talk to my brothers, then I'm not so big in myself that I don't even watch football. I watch very minimal basketball, but I'm not so conscious and above my people that I can't talk to them about this subject. But we're not gonna argue. What we're not gonna do is argue and fight over who's the better man or fight over men. I don't fight over men.
Right.
So sometimes we gotta understand how they still make us circulate in our brain, circulate this Willie Lynch mentality. Steph Curry's a amazing shooter. He probably go down as the best shooter. He's light skinned.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't take away from me saying Kevin Durant is one of the most dominant ball players. What I wish those brothers could do is get the notion of starting their own league. Just them.
Yeah.
Just them. I wish they would understand that notion. I love the game of basketball, but I hate the slave plantation blueprint that the European understood he could do.
You gotta think about how many of them brothers in the basketball league got millions of dollars, and if all of them was to get together, they have enough money to start their own.
They have enough money, and then you could use that's something you could use Ice Cube for if you want to just keep using. He knows with the big three. I would rather watch the big three than the NBA if they were to widen the court. I would rather watch. I don't know if that's because that was just my era of the players I witnessed, but it's us. I think that's the more why I'm gonna watch it, because it's just us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gave up our leagues to integrate with theirs.
Definitely. Yeah, I would definitely watch that. Yeah, just because. That's what we need. We need our own leagues.
So instead of asking for another Friday, let's ask for that Ice Cube. Or instead of asking Ice Cube for another Friday, if we just want to, because like I said, I don't rock with celebrity. I don't look for a celebrity to lead me. And so I'm gonna express my opinion, but I don't look for a celebrity to lead me. But if this person have experience in building what we may need to get the money out of their hands, I don't have the experience in building the basketball league. So sometimes we gotta understand how to activate our power. The differences are there, and a lot of brothers I don't agree with. And as y'all know by following this channel, but even when I'm talking about Tariq Nasheed, I hate what that guy doing. I hate that he's allowing himself